the network you surround yourself with, your punctuality, your soft skills, how you treat your fellow colleagues or business partners or even strangers, may impact the way you move along your path.
Yeah. Welcome to this episode of Each One Teach One, where we talk about issues and topics that will help us in our community move forward thoughtfully. Today I have with me Lincoln Kayiwa, a man a lot in our community have come to admire, and it's a great honor to have you, my friend.
Thank you.
Lincoln.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, tell me, who is Lincoln? Where are you from, and how would you describe yourself?
My name is, of course, Lincoln Kayiwa. I was born and raised in Uganda, Kampala to be specific. And I went to school there until my first year at university, upon which I came to Finland as an exchange student at the Aalto, now it's called the Aalto University, School of Arts, Design and Architecture. And I graduated in 2007, upon which I founded my design studio or design company. This marks the 14th year my studio has been running.
Oh, talking about how you transited from, as a student to actually establishing your own design studio. How did that come about, and what are the practical things that you did that led to that
well, this is interesting
situation happening?
When I graduated in 2007, and the reason I founded the company was because my graduation project was selected by the under this. It was called Tuli Tekes, whereby it basically means that the university tries to commercialize projects with potential, graduating students, projects with potential, in order to kind of, it's more like to create soft landing for them, or to transition from being students to exactly entrepreneurs, or into the business, and that's how I. So the company that I was linked with preferred that I'm a business entity in order for them to be able to
take you on board,
to pay royalties easily, as compared to paying salary. So that's how I came about founding a company. The question was how what do I do with it? How do I proceed with it?
Yeah.
So. But in a way, I would say it was serendipity, because it created a clean plate for me that I didn't have to. I would have probably just been tied to that company, but having a clean slate, it in a way gave me time to process actually what I want to do, how I want to proceed, for who am I designing, why, etc., etc. So it's actually pretty much at the same time that I had my firstborn son. So which was it forced me to basically, and of course this being Finland, where you have fathers as well as mothers, you take care of your children almost 50-50 concrete.
So from what I'm hearing from you now, it seems like this happened unplanned. It seems like you didn't have the preconceived notion that I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to have my own studio and run this things.
Of course,
that's not what I'm hearing.
Of course,
right?
Just remember, I just fresh out of school. I'm founding a company. When it just so it like it's So it's
so precise, at the same time, were you? I mean, at the back of your mind, were you also thinking that because you came in here as a student, right?
Yep.
As an exchange student.
Yep.
So was it so that you've concluded that I'm going to settle here?
Everything kind of happened pretty. I would say it's fate
Yeah.
or destiny, because at the time, obviously, I was also thinking that I should go to a bigger, more cosmopolitan city, like London or let's say New York. This is the general dream. You want to go where where you believe the grass is greener. You know? So in a way, just like I like one would call it coincidence, one would call it fate. One could it could just be like a path that anyways I was going to take. So just like I said, that this company that I was supposed to materialize or realize my first project, it wasn't able to because of the recession. And then I was forced to also have this, like a period where I kind of focus on actually, or have time to really think what I'm going to do.
Now, talking about path, so at what point did you then think that, okay, this path is actually leading me to something?
So this is the thing. Basically, like I said, that in general, I'm an optimist. I see even the good in the bad. So given the fact that, like I explained, that maybe that whatever happened, with the recession, that the project didn't go ahead, and then also that I don't want to use the word forced, but anyways, that I was in a position that I had to, I chose to spend time with my firstborn child. So instead of seeing that as a disadvantage or a roadblock or something that would impede my, getting on with the path, running faster, because it's not a sprint, it's actually a marathon, So then I just try to, given the situation, use the best, the most of it. So, and that's why it was after at the end of the 6 months with my firstborn, it was clear to me what I wanted to do. Obviously, I had some doubts, but I had taken time to internalize, what would make me happy, where I would like to see myself in
which part you want to follow.
Yes, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, which if given, if it were a different situation, if everything just happened just like that, then I wouldn't be, this would totally be a different company or studio or even I as a person, because, but then, because I had this moment to really have a clear kind of vision or plan for this journey, then it, in a way, I believe, simplified things for me, and made me kind of, I had the vision, and then I just had to work towards it.
Some of the questions I do ask a lot is about, how did you start? I'm looking for opportunity. I'm looking for ways to start. I have this idea. So I get these questions a lot.
Yeah.
So how would you talk to someone that is in that situation thinking? Because from what has happened to you and how you obviously, ended up where you are today, with the things that you're doing, it's happened so that, like, it didn't just, you didn't just go, okay, this is where I'm going. I understand it. I'm running towards it now. It happens so that, situation presented themselves. The situation presented themselves, and then you took your time to actually, examine yourself, what is important, what path you want to follow, and eventually worked out for you. Now, how would you talk to someone who is obviously in a similar situation right now, that I'm thinking, I have this idea, I'm struggling to actually even know how to start. So what would be their starting point? What would be our...
There's free consultancy services for startup businesses. There's Start Raha programs. There's Business Finland, where you could, if you have a good project, you present it, they provide funding up to, well, even up to more than 50% of the project. So, but I needed to get all this information, which is actually nicely publicly available. But it wasn't, and of course there's the question of the language and how to access this. But luckily it's getting better. There's more services now. For example, Business Finland, a good part of it, the website is available in English. There are consultants who are also, easily accessible for free, whereby the government body that you approach, for example, Elikeskus, they have consultants so that they go through your business plan and then spar with you and advise accordingly. So all these services are actually public, and if you try to access them, nobody's going to stop you from accessing them, which is a bit crazy, because I would believe that more people would actually try to utilize these services to proceed with the ideas, business concepts, etc.
My understanding is that most of these people within our communities, right, very talented individuals, people that have they graduated, they have master's degrees, they have they have all this too, but the understanding to just take those steps becomes even like really difficult. They don't see the path, they don't see how they can obviously take the first step, which I think that probably it might be like really interesting to see if we could somehow start to handhold them, because it's a question, like you mentioned earlier, it's a question of also building the confidence.
I would say that it's easier to become an entrepreneur as a person who is new in a society, immigrant or person of color, or as compared to working for someone, So whereby because then you are bound, you are more able to or easily able to create your own rules, make your own path, as compared to following or working for someone and having to which is usually the case. But like I said, or like you said, that there's a need to boost this confidence. Step out of our soft, our comfort zones, and look out to build a network. Because I was lucky that the Aalto University at the time, I think their goal was to have at least 35% of the student population as international students. So basically, I left with that familiar feeling that it's you're approachable. If we had some extensionists, for example, from Japan, from India, from the UK. So I left with that feeling that my network doesn't have to be that only fellow people of color. Actually, so it went from just that to who do I identify with who do I share the same goals, the same ambition, with the same drive, as compared to who do I look like, or who, who is my fellow countryman. You know what I mean? So it extended from that to which, of course, it doesn't mean that it doesn't take away from, say, my Ugandan friends or people in the Ugandan community or Nigerian community. I've been to.
Let's change gear a bit.
Further to this, to what you're saying is the underlying point here is actually being stubborn. That knowing or believing in what you can bring to the table and sticking to it. Do you realize?
Definitely.
From my point of view, it was more that I had to prove that as when I was in Uganda, that as a designer, there's a career for me. And upon coming here, I had to prove that as a person of color, actually I had something to contribute to, the day-to-day livelihood of, people, by designing objects that they use on an everyday basis. So, and this goes, I think, the underlying thing here is being stubborn in a good way. That, believing in yourself, not allowing yourself to settle for less, no matter what the condition, situation, if you trust, if you know, if you believe, that will get you further. You know, that's in the very beginning. That's what you need. You don't need a sack of money, because if somebody gives you a sack of money without motivation or a clear idea of what you want to do with it, poof, it's gone. You know, but knowing clearly, believing and sticking to it. There are going to be challenges along the way, for sure. Everybody has challenges. But with that underlying factor that, you know, this is what I really want. Not because you're well, as you know, in African society, usually, I don't know about Nigeria, but in Uganda, it's like the parents usually wish their kids to be either doctors, engineers,
yeah, it's
you know,
almost the same,
you know, exactly.
Similar with African parents.
But anyways, whatever you want to do, if deep down 100%, 120, 130%, that's what you want to do, nobody should stop you, because that's the fuel that's going to make you succeed. It's not because you're doing it for, you know, your friend, your family. No, it's for you. As we briefly talked, that you're wondering if I still work out. I went to bed at 4 this morning because I had to work, and then as a healthy daily routine now, I had to go jogging in the middle of the night. But I'm happy to, you know, have woken up at 7 after a short, a few hours of sleep, because I love doing this. You know, I'm not like, oh, you know, I'm not. Do I look like?
Yeah.
I don't look like I slept just a few hours, but because I know I love what I do, so that's motivation enough for me. As compared to, you know, it's like I'm just doing this for the money. You know, truth be told, it took me the first 10 years for my studio to be profitable. I mean, of course, there was revenue, but I wasn't breaking even. 10 years. So imagine if you can't put 10, 15 years in, you know,
anything.
I'm not saying forget it, but you know, maybe your goals or your priorities or your objectives are maybe elsewhere. So whatever you're doing, of course, there are short-term plans, mid-term plans, and long-term plans. But if you're not willing to, well, let me speak for myself. I wasn't really concerned about how much money I would make the first 5, even 10 years, even 15. You know, I was just like, okay, I'm really going to try to do this. You know, fight tooth and nail. But I wouldn't settle for doing anything else that what I'm doing today. Obviously, I had to do maybe some part-time work, but I didn't let that stop me from
keeping your focus.
Exactly, you know, because very easily you get all these, you know, distractions, you get all these roadblocks, you know, detours. But if you find yourself back on the path,
so
that's
talking
the most important
talking
thing.
about roadblocks and challenges that you mentioned, right? How do you how did you, like, you know, overcome some of the challenges that you face along the way? Because 5 years, it's now.
I know.
It's
I know.
not. It's
I know.
not 5 days or.
I know.
Or 10 days. That's a long time.
It's a long time. But this, you know, whatever you do is investment, and you know, people don't realize that even a small gesture outside the work you do is investment. Like if, for example, we are in pretty different fields, but we've been meeting occasionally for a drink, either for business or, you know, just pleasure. But if there was anyone and all those times we've gotten along pretty well. Yeah. And I can genuinely, we're actually here because, you know, I respect what you do, and I believe that although we're in different fields, we still have many things that in common. That and we have, we are on the same page regarding some issues. For example, like not giving up and you know, trying to stay focused regardless of whatever is thrown your way. So it basically gives you it's having this character building network of people around you, and not, of course, allowing anything really to take you away from what you're doing. It's having the right network, or the network that kind of critiques you, or critiques someone who would say, hey, maybe, if you did it this way, it would work out better. And whether it's work related or not work related, it's investment. You in a way working towards your goal, because for example, if you proposed an idea to invest in, because of all these times we spent together, either business related or outside business, I know you much better, and I can either, I'm more open to investing in you, or advising you, or critiquing you in a positive, or in a more or in a way that it's going to advance. Exactly, yeah. Or it's going to advance you, whether it's something on the positive or on the negative note, Yeah. But anyways, I know that the main goal would be to get you on your right, get you back on your path, or allow you to continue your path. So investment and all these elements. So it doesn't mean that when you start a business, you're going to make $1 million the first month. Some people think the first month you're a millionaire. No, it's going to take you some good time. And I think this is something I didn't see so much of when I was in Uganda. I also was of the thinking that when you say you're a businessman, it means you're making tons of money, as compared to actually you are working towards that. You're always working towards that goal. It's not like instant. It's a process. It's something you work at every day, week, month, years. It's not like some people get lucky, but usually it's actually you work towards it. The network you surround yourself with, your punctuality, your soft skills, how you treat your fellow colleagues, or business partners, or even strangers, may impact the way you move along your path. So I believe that's it. So it's not always, no, I wouldn't say it's never, but it's not always that, the first 5 years, you have to go with that mindset that, okay, maybe in the first 5 years, I haven't turned a profit. So it also mentally prepares you, so that it doesn't, after 5 years, you're like, okay, I was ready for this, and you're not already disappointed. So, because usually right before, you strike gold, that's when most people actually give up. So you invested like almost 5 years, and then it's like somewhere you're like, okay, and that, you're just so close to, to at least reaching some of your goals. So it's, I think being an entrepreneur, first and foremost, is that you must at least try to like what you're doing. You have to, that should be your passion, your motivation, and your goal, because that alone, even without the people throwing money at you, being successful in the first few years, it will keep you going, and it will also make you more open to going out to, if you hear that, okay, there's let's say a seminar about the field that you are doing, or about business in general, then you'll be more open to also growing your network, because you're generally interested in what you're doing. Nobody's forcing you to do it. So those are two different things. If I tell you that, if I force you to do something as compared to you doing something that you like, they're going to be different results, because A, if you like what you do, you're gonna do it anyways. And B, someone is forcing you. If someone is not looking, that person is not looking, you're not gonna do it. But if you like what you're doing, you don't care if people are watching or, you know, following or listening, you just do it anyway. So, and of course, there are other factors such as, you know, even when you fail, you get up, collect yourself, dust off, and then, you know, you
Keep
continue.
going.
Yeah, which is related to the stubbornness that, you know, you just, you know, there has to be the passion, the motivation, and the stubbornness. The, you know, so I think this glue here kind of.
Yeah, I like the point you're raising. How do you manage to keep yourself like focused, and that your focus is not split, and you just consistently, you know, focusing and hammering on. On is it part of the persistence, or is it like just knowing that whatever comes that you will succeed, or there is obviously there will be a light at the end of the tunnel? Is that
well,
basically
it's important, I think, for me to be the best example for them, that, you know, you actually, as a person of color, as someone who, of course the world is changing and I'm not trying to generalize, but you know what I mean, that I want to be the best role model, and in that regard, I just have to well, of course, also it comes with the fact that you have to take care of them. I mean, this luckily this is Finland, whereby you know the state does its part, and the institutions, you know, apart from the state child benefits, there are also institutions whereby nobody really falls through the net. You know, starting from free education to, you know, other, you know, extracurricular activities and you know, things like that. And also it's relatively safe here, but still, you know, I as an adult now, I've had to work at least on average at 10 to 12 hours a day, or you know, sometimes longer, sometimes even longer. But this is something I'm ready to do, because I know, you know, nothing is going to come to me really
if you don't work for it.
Exactly. As a person of color in my new home, I'm actually a naturalized Finn. So I believe, or I don't believe, but I know intrinsically that I have to work harder to, you know, prove that yes, I deserve to be here. I have something new to bring to the table. I deserve a seat at the table. Actually, I'll make my own table, you know, so you can come sit at my table. Or we can share, or we can pull the tables together and share the, you know, the tables. You know what I mean? So knowing that you know, I won't settle for less. That I'm deserving of, you know,
of your opportunity.
Exactly, and I've put you know, manners, effort, you know, passion, you know, dedication in what I'm doing. So obviously, you know, that builds the needed confidence needed to, you know, to keep doing what you're doing. And even, for example, when I said that although my company isn't profitable after the first 10 years, but knowing that, yes, believing and knowing that eventually, you know, you'll see, or they'll see, not that I was really doing it for them, but, you know, I was just focused on my path. I believed in my path. I stayed true to my path, even with, you know, I mean, of course, we've met at some parties. I do take some time off, but the underlying, it doesn't mean that you should, you know, go lock yourself in a room, you know, walk away. No, it doesn't mean that. It means that for the most part, you just have to stay on that path. In general, what I'm trying to say is that I have these tools that have helped me stay in check, you know, not party too much, or, you know, let's say keep my dream focus, you know, alive. Yeah.
And now this is very important question that I want to ask you, because I get, like I mentioned earlier in this podcast. Like, I get asked a lot, hey, brother Kingsley, so how did you do this? How did that happen? I want to get my child to this school, or, you know, there's so many things. But I think I don't have all of these answers.
Yeah.
And that is why I kind of thought that, okay, why don't I get some of the best within our community to actually begin to talk about these issues, begin to answer some of these questions, and eventually create some kind of a way that we can help ourselves to help ourselves grow. So now, would you be ready to actually, you know, mentor someone, talk to someone if they have, you know, some clarity about whether it is starting a business, whether it's about work related?
Sure.
Is that something that you're open
I'll
to?
be more than happy. You know,
Excellent.
and the formula is really easy. It starts from knowing yourself, understanding yourself, or somebody as a mentor helping you, you know, discover these things about yourself and what you want to do and how to go about them. But it comes from it's a bottom up kind of approach. Because many people think that you start from the top, you know, you start with a lot of money and then, you know, but actually you start for this to last.
If you start from the top, there's nowhere to
exactly.
go down.
You know, yeah.
But if you start
Exactly.
from down, you go up.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
And
they don't understand that. A lot of people doesn't understand, and that's why we need to start, you know, find a way to be explaining these things, because the more they get a little bit of clarity in these issues, the better chance they have to actually make progress.
Exactly.
So go
on. And every path is individual. Many people think that, oh, you know, Kingsley did it this way. I'm going to follow exactly his path. You know, I'm going to get the same results. No, it doesn't happen that way. You know, to be realistic, it doesn't happen that way. You can get inspiration, learn, you know, merge that with what you or what you do, how exactly your path or how you do your thing. But it can be like you can't replicate exactly the same, you know, step. I think to add to what you're saying is that I think this stems from the fact that we don't see enough innovativeness. At least in Uganda, I just could see maybe so many farmers, so many doctors, so many lawyers, so many teachers, but it was very hard to see someone who was different from those, who tried something new. And now the situation is, because I usually visit every day, is that when something new comes, then everybody jumps on it. You know, and then it kind of saturates the whole, you know. And of course, this also goes with I've had, for example, challenges with these diamond glasses whereby there have been copies on the market. But luckily, I have patents or protection for them. So whereby I've been able to intervene, you know, if somebody tries to copy the idea, which is unlike a concept. So it's very hard to, you know, kind of prevent people from exploiting your concept, you know. So I think this is the slight difference, but they're somewhat related because, but anyways, I just wanted to highlight the fact that maybe we should encourage more innovativeness for our kids here, you know, or the kids, especially we've born here, that we have to encourage them to, you know, pursue, you know, something different. Maybe try, and also be open to receiving criticism. You know, usually criticism is the best way to grow. To grow. You know, it makes you, you know, you might hate the person who is given the critique for some time, but you know, usually actually you find out, hey, you know, maybe they're right all along. You know, and of course, nobody wants to hear, you know, anything bad said about them at any particular point. But you know, you should have this healthy attitude towards, you know, also allowing at least yourself to hear or entertain things that don't usually sit well with you, or you know, you don't usually agree with, you know, because the more you're open to learning, you know, to experiences, the more actually you grow. The better you grow. And
the better chance you have is there for you to progress. Actually, if there's one thing that I really, you know, like enjoyed sitting having this talk with you is actually the fact that you come to accept that you're open to help people like us when it comes to mentoring them, giving them some kind of heads up in terms of what they need to do, or if they are stuck with it, if they have any question, basically, because that's what I struggle with. That most of these people think that they put me in some kind of pedestal, and I'm thinking like I can do this alone, and I'm doing this also because I really enjoy helping people, most especially people like me, because I've realized that there is this, which also the thing that I share with my child, that they talk about this racism, they talk about these things and this, and even sometimes I never, until this George Floyd case happened, I never talk about racism openly. And the reason why I don't talk about it is because I don't really care. And I believe right inside here that no one is going to be able to stop me. I'm going to work as hard as I can to create the life that I want for myself.
Exactly. If anything, that should be your fuel. It should help you disprove, prove or disprove that whatever you think of me that I can achieve or I can do, let me show you that I can really do it.